Hi, and welcome to episode 79 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Saturday, October 26th, 2019. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, quilting, and hand-dyed yarn to share with you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. And you can get a hold of me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. You can find the links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. Today I have on the Metanoia shawl that I showed as a finished object in the last episode. This is a beautiful pattern by Devin, Ventre of Knitty McPurly, and I knitted this out of my own hand-dyed yarn in Vineyard. Living is the coral color, and the border color is called Plenty. And I am really enjoying wearing this autumn season. It just goes so well with the autumnal colors that are vibrant outside right now, and I really am enjoying this shawl very much. So I'm so happy that I was able to make it. I do have a finished object that I would like to share with you all today. It is the Bugs hat, which is a beautiful pattern by Natalie, Pelykh. And I knitted this for a gift for one of the pastors at our church. October is Pastor Appreciation Month, and this particular pastor had asked if I would be willing to make him a hat back in September, and I was very, very happy to do that. He had wanted to pay me for it. He, wasn't expecting me to gift it to him, but I reached out to him and asked if it would be okay if I would just gift it to him for Pastor Appreciation Month, and he was happy to accept that as a gift. So anyway, I've just been working on this for the last couple of weeks, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I tend to have a bit of difficulty knitting hats and getting the right sizing for hats, and this was the same story as the other hats that I have made in the past. I think pretty much every time I've tried to knit a hat, I have to redo it at least one time. So last time I showed it to you, I had just cast it on. This pattern comes with 3 sizes. The 3 sizes that are listed in the pattern are adult is the largest. The medium size is labeled toddler, which is probably a misprint. It's probably supposed to be like a teenager size, I would guess, or maybe small adult. And then there's also a child size. So I had originally cast on the adult size number of stitches, and I was using the recommended needle size, which were US 4 3.5 millimeter needles. I got past the ribbing and was just into the cable work a little bit, and I put it on longer needles because I was knitting it on 16-inch needles so that I could just work in the round, but of course you can't try it on when it's on such small needles. So I put it on larger needles and tried it on, and it just went right over my face. It was like so huge. So I ripped that out and started over, and I cast on the toddler size or the medium size. Using, again, the same needles. But again, I got past the ribbing into the cables a little bit, put it on larger needles, tried it on, was still too big. So, ripped it out again. And this time I went down in needle size to US 2.75 millimeter needles, and again cast on the number of stitches for the toddler size. And that ended up being a really good fit. So that's what I did for, I knit the toddler size for the entirety of the hat, but I was following the length. For example, the length that she recommends knitting the ribbing, she has, 3 different lengths for the 3 different sizes, and I knitted the length of the ribbing to be the adult size for the length. And then the cabling is my favorite part. I just think that cable is so beautiful. It repeats 5 times around for this size, and I just think it's gorgeous. I love it so much. And I was able to cable without a cable needle for this project, which this is my first finished object cabling without a cable needle. So I'm really, really happy that I've gotten the hang of that. I have tried it in the past and I really haven't enjoyed trying that before, but I really have gotten used to it now and I'm really enjoying it, and it is so much faster to cable without a cable needle. I really am so happy with how this turned out. I used my own hand-dyed yarn for this project, Noble Character Crafts yarn. I used my Caring base, which is a worsted weight, 100% non-superwash merino wool, and the colorway is called Strength. And so that's just a nice deep brown tonal color. Once you finish the cabling, then the directions say to only knit until the work measures for the adult size. Again, I was going for the adult size in length. It says to work until your work measures 3.9 inches in length. So I did that and then start working the crown decreases. It was way too short, way too short. So I had already done the decreases, ripped that out, and started again, and I worked until the hat measured 7 inches before I did the decreases. But again, it was just a ½ of an inch too short. I just wanted to make sure that it went over the ears when I tried it on, and I have a pretty small head measurement. My head measures 22 inches, which I think is pretty small for an adult head, but you know, this is a nice ribbed pattern, so I think it will fit any head size pretty well, adult head size pretty well, I'm hoping. And the gentleman that I made this for, I don't think has an overly large head. He's a pretty, I would say probably average sized male. And so anyway, he's pretty slender, and I mean, he's not a big guy. So anyway, I think that this will work well for his head, I hope. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that it was going to cover his ears. So I ripped it out again. So that's like 5 attempts total of trying to get this to the right fit. But anyway, I just knitted it for an extra ½ an inch, so 7.5 inches before I did the decreases for the crown, and now I'm really, really happy with the fit. But it was definitely a lot of trial and error to get the right fit for this hat. But since it is worsted weight, you know, it did work up fairly quickly, despite all of the adjustments that I had to make along the way. But I'm really, really happy with how it turned out, and I'm hoping to gift this to him tomorrow at church. So really, really excited that I was able to get this done in the month of October yet, as this is the last Sunday of October tomorrow. So I'm glad I got this done so that I can gift it to him during the Pastor Appreciation Month. So yeah, super happy with that project. I just absolutely love knitting gift knits. And I had sent him some emails of pictures of patterns, and he particularly picked out this pattern. So I'm excited that I'm hopeful that he will really enjoy the finished object and get a lot of use out of it. So I don't have any other finished objects, so I will go on into my works in progress. My first work in progress is in a Me Made project bag that I really am enjoying. It has this fun pumpkin print on it. And in here is the cardigan that I am making for myself. It is the Sophie Cardigan by Jennifer Wood. Let's see if I can get a picture of it. Here's a picture of the back of it and the front. This is a paid for pattern, but that doesn't have any of the instructions on it. That's just some beginning notes. So I am really enjoying this project. It is not a mindless project by any means. It definitely takes a lot of concentration, but I'm really enjoying it, and I really like having at least one project that is mindful instead of mindless. You know, a project that really takes some concentration and isn't just super easy. I like having a challenge project. So this is definitely my challenge project right now, because it does take a lot of concentration. There are 4 different charts that I'm following right now for all of the different cables. So last time I recorded a podcast, I had just made one of the shoulder pieces. So the construction of this is quite different from any other cardigan I've ever made before. It starts with these saddle shoulder pieces that were just like little rectangles. There were 2 of those that you started off with for each shoulder. And then you pick up stitches around those, and the instructions are very clear, but quite intricate, you know, getting everything sorted in the beginning. I think what I did was I picked up stitches along the side and worked this back piece with some short row shaping in it for a little bit before I started the front pieces. I'm pretty sure that's how it was, if I can remember right. But anyway, here it is so far. So you can see the shaping is coming along here. And yeah, it's just a really unique construction for me. This is definitely new. I've never done anything with saddle shoulders before. It's just a fun construction, so I'm really enjoying it. The cables are just so beautiful. I did make a mistake on one of these cables. I had twisted the stitches the wrong way one time, and I was able to rip back and fix those. I will link to the YouTube tutorial that I used to remind myself how to do that. I have had to do that in the past with another project that a cable project that I had messed up on, but it had been a while since I had done that, so I needed a refresher on how to fix a cable stitch that had been twisted the wrong way. So anyway, I will link to the tutorial that I used to help me with that, but I was able to fix that, so I'm super happy about that. Again, I'm not using a cable needle for this project either, which is so fun. I'm using my own hand-dyed yarn again for this project. This is on my Josephine base, which is the inside out. I'm all twisted around here. This is on my Josephine base, which is my DK weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this colorway is called Fine Gold. I am alternating skeins right now. I didn't alternate skeins at the very beginning as I was making the saddle shoulders and just the back section with the short rows, but once I got it all joined together and was working all the way around the entirety of the garment, I started alternating skeins every other row, well, every second row. So anyway, really, really happy with the progress on this project, and I'm super excited to have this garment in my wardrobe. I'm really excited to be making a cardigan in this colorway. I've been wanting to make a garment in this colorway for a long time, so I'm super excited to have this one on the way. So much fun. I hadn't, before the bugs hat and this project, I hadn't made a cabled project in quite a while. I can't remember what the last cable project was, but I had been missing working up a cabled project, so I'm happy to have that on the go. My next work in progress is in this cute project bag that I got in a swap with Susie, who has an Etsy shop where she sells pretty much quilted piecing patterns, I believe, but she made this and we did a swap a while ago. The Etsy shop that she has is called Tiny Toffee Designs. And in here are the ribbed socks that I'm working on. And they're a tangled mess because I like to knit my socks 2 at a time. I usually knit my socks 2 at a time. And the downfall to doing that is that you do get a little tangled up. Okay, but here we go. Last time I recorded, I was right here where this adorable progress keeper from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights is marking. It has 2 chocolate chip cookies and a cup of hot cocoa probably, or creamy coffee or something like that. And anyway, I started the cuff of these with Knit Picks yarn, Knit Picks Felici in the Punch Bug colorway. And I mentioned last time that I had started using a pattern for these socks, but I have veered off of that pattern and right now I'm just doing 2x1 ribbing. I have 66 stitches cast on for these. I did an Eye of Partridge heel, which is my favorite heel. I just think it's so beautiful, and with an odd number of stitches on, you know, I have 66 stitches total, so 33 stitches on each needle as I'm knitting magic loop, and so since I have an odd number of stitches on the heel, it's easy to do an Eye of Partridge heel because you alternate stitches every other row for that, which stitches you're slipping. So anyway, I really like the looks of an Eye of Partridge heel. Oh, after this top cuff, I switched to Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in the Down Heather colorway. And I'm really enjoying the Tweety yarn. I think that's so fun. So I'm already done with the decreases for the gusset, and I'm just doing the length of the foot. And so that's a super easy project for me to take with whenever we are traveling anywhere, or if I have any downtime where I need some mindless knitting. This is the perfect project to take with me. And I am using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles for this project. All of the needles that I use are Chowgu red lace. I forgot to mention the needles for the Sophie Cardigan. I am using, I'm sorry, Sadie. I was called, is that right? I have it written down as Sadie, but I think it's Sophie, isn't it? I keep getting it mixed up. I don't know why. It's Sophie. I have it written down in my notebook here as Sadie. Anyway, for the Sophie Cardigan, I'm using US 7 4.5 millimeter needles, and the gauge for that garment is 20 stitches to 4 inches. Oh, and I'm knitting the 39.5 inch bust circumference size for that, which will give me about 1.5 inches of positive ease. The original pattern calls for you to, the model is wearing it with some negative ease, I believe. Yeah, the model is wearing it with about 3/4 inch of negative ease. But I really don't want to have a negative ease cardigan, I don't think, because I'm going to be layering it over dresses and stuff, so I don't want to have negative ease. I thought that, I don't know. I don't like it when cardigans pull along the button band, and I figured if you have negative ease, it would be hard not to have it pull. It doesn't on the model, but they might have really, adjusted that to make the pictures look nice. Anyway, I feel more comfortable having a little bit of positive ease with my cardigans. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for these. Okay, my next work in progress, I just started yesterday again for the second time. If you've watched my podcast for a little while, you may remember that I had started making a tree skirt. I don't know when it was that I made it last. Back in July, I think, because I remember I did Christmas. I mentioned I was doing Christmas in July when I was making this. Yeah, I had started it back in July and ended up making a few mistakes with it and ripped it out, and had always planned on doing it again at some point down the road. And yesterday I realized, as I wrote the date on the calendar, that it was exactly 2 months from Christmas. And so I thought I had finished the Bugs hat, and I like to have 3 projects on the go, 3 active works in progress. So anyway, it was time for me to cast on a new project or start a new project. And so I started this tree skirt again. I am using the free pattern from Yarnspirations called Flirty Tree Skirt. And yeah, it uses worsted weight yarn. I am using Red Heart Super Saver in the cherry red colorway for the first section. Here, I'll show you a picture of the full thing so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. So I'm planning on using red for this center section, and this has 3 colors. It goes like red, mint, green, white, and then it repeats the red. I want to add one more color to mine, so my plan is to shorten these sections so that I can fit one more color in there. And I'll just have one more ruffly bit along the edges here. So the next color that I will go into is this bright green, which is Mainstays Basic in the green colorway. And these are all 100% acrylic. And then for the third color, I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver in the Minty colorway. And I'm also going to be using Red Heart Super Saver in white for one of the color blocks. So I am using the recommended hook size, which is a USH 5mm hook. And this is a boy hook that I have just added a pencil grip to the end of it to cushion the palm of my hand as I use it. And anyway, this is obviously working out pretty quickly. It's made using half double crochets. And you just do increased stitches at each of these points. I'm really happy to have this on the go. Hopefully it won't take too terribly long to work up. I'm sure I'll be able to get it done in time for Christmas. So that's the goal. Although I do like to decorate for Christmas pretty early. I like to decorate the week of Thanksgiving, usually like the day after Thanksgiving or sometime that week. So anyway, I really only have about a month before then. And so I would like to get it done in time to put it under our Christmas tree this year. So yeah, I'm happy to have that on the go. And it's another mindless project at this point. Really, it all is. The ruffly section does take more concentration as you count your stitches, but that's only every, the majority of it is just half double crochets, and then you just have to pay attention to where those increase points are at. So it's pretty mindless as well. Oh, and I have it held in this new, to me, basket that I picked up at, whoops. I picked this up at the thrift store this week. If you've watched before, you know that I like to go thrift shopping, and I'm always looking for baskets when I'm thrift shopping. I just love picking up baskets at the thrift stores. So pretty much all my baskets are from thrift stores, and I have quite a few because I like to keep my projects and scraps of yarn in baskets and things like that. So my last work in progress that I would like to share with you this week is one of my scrappy blankets that I'm working on. And this one I have not shown on the podcast for a really long time, I don't think. This is also in a thrift find. This is a really large wool basket or bag, tote, that I found at the thrift store a while back. And in here I have my Show Your Colors blanket. And this is, I started this as a test crochet project for Andrea Delhey. And yeah, it's called Show Off Your Colors. And it was originally designed to use fingering weight yarn, but I adjusted it to use worsted weight yarn. The original pattern has using a 3mm hook, but I adjusted mine to use a 6mm hook, a J 6mm. Again, I have a boy hook with a gripper on it. And I am just using up all of my worsted weight scraps for this project. The last time I showed this off, I was right here where this little squirrel progress keeper is marking. So I haven't added a ton to it, but I have made a little bit of progress on this project, and I absolutely love it. I just think it's such a neat pattern. It's so gorgeous on both sides, but they're a little bit different. You can kind of just see the different colors pop on the two different sides. And I really love it. This again is very, very mindless and so relaxing to work on. I just thoroughly enjoy it. All of the yarn that I've put in here is 100% wool, and it's going to be such a cozy blanket to have for our home whenever it is done. But this is a slow project because I really don't have a ton of worsted weight scraps, especially with the color. I'm doing a bit of color management in that I'm alternating between bright colors and dark colors every other row. So you can really tell that on this side, you can kind of see these lines going down are more of the bright colors. And then on this side, the bright colors stand out in the background, but these lines going down are more dark colored. So anyway, I really like how that looks. And as you can see, I am just changing colors. When I run out of a color, I just add in. I'm using the Russian join method to join my colors together so I don't have any ends to weave in. And then I just switch colors at the end of each row. So that's working up really nicely, and I absolutely love it so far. But I am again now at a standstill where I need more light colors to alternate. The next color that I have in my stash to put in that would follow the kind of the pattern that I'm going would be gold again, and I don't want it to be so close. See how my gold stripes are kind of spread out a little bit, and this one got a little bit closer, and this one would be even closer yet. So I'm gonna wait until I have more light colored scraps of worsted weight in my stash to add to this before I work on it anymore. Though I wish I did have more. I mean, I could just use other colors that, you know, from brand new skeins of yarn. I have a lot of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight that I could grab and add into this, but I really like the idea of using up my scraps so that, you know, I'm not using up yarn for this project that could go into a brand new project. So anyway, really, really love that pattern though. It's so much fun. I highly recommend it. So that's all of the works in progress I have for knitting and crocheting. And then the last project I want to share with you is my quilt that I've been working on. I am making the Joseph's Pinwheel quilt, and I am adjusting it. The original pattern only has 9 quilt blocks, and I am adjusting it to have 36 quilt blocks in order to fit our king size bed right here beside me. And last time I recorded, I showed you the second group of 12 blocks that I had finished. So I had worked up 24 total blocks, and I was working on the last 12 blocks, and I was able to finish those just this morning actually. I hadn't worked on this as much as I had in the past, these last few weeks. I think I had mentioned last time or the time before that I've had a bit of back pain lately, and there's one step in this process where you have to cut the squares to 6 inches, which I think is where I was last time I showed you. I had gotten a bunch of the little pieces done and they needed to be cut to 6 inches square before I could piece them together. And that process of cutting each of those blocks into 6-inch squares, it really hurts my back to stand and cut quilt squares, so I had to do those in short intervals, and it took me quite a while to get through all of them. But anyway, I was able to finish the last 12 blocks that I need for my quilt, so I'm super excited that I'm at this stage, because now the next step I have is one of my favorite steps so that I've learned from. I've only been quilting for a little bit. I've only made 1 quilt so far, so this is only my second quilt, but I really enjoy the process of laying out the quilt blocks and arranging them into the pattern, you know, where I want to place each block. So I'm super excited to do that. After I record this podcast, I'm going to get all 36 blocks out and arrange them into the pattern that I like the best. So anyway, I just wanted to show you the last squares that I made. So I'm very, very excited about having these all done. As you can see, all of the fabrics are have a autumnal color scheme. And these last 12 blocks all have the same light gray border that have this leafy pattern to them. And I'm going to be alternating that with a dark gray as well. So every other block will either have this or a darker gray, which I've shown before on the other squares. I love this little tiny rose pattern. It's so sweet. I'm so excited to get this piece together. Now, I did say last time, I think, that I was really hoping to have this done by Halloween so that I could enjoy it for the month of November before I want to decorate for Christmas, but that's definitely not going to be happening because Halloween is just on Thursday, so I'll definitely not have this done by then. I'll probably be lucky to have it done by Thanksgiving, but oh well. I should have started it earlier, I guess, but that's okay. As you can see, my little points in the middle aren't always perfect, but I'm just doing the best I can and trying to make them match up in the middle as best I can. But anyway, those are the last 12 blocks that I needed for my quilt, so I'm so excited to start laying them out, and then the next part I need to start piecing the blocks together into strips to, you know, start putting the quilt together. So I am hopeful that it will come together now pretty quickly after I've done all the fiddly work of making the blocks. I think that the rest of it will be a lot easier, you know, it's not so fiddly to put all the bigger strips together, I think. So anyway, super excited about that. And the last thing I have to share with you this week is a set of yarn from my Etsy shop. Every time I record, I like to share a set of yarn that I think would work well together for a project from my Etsy shop. And so today's set that I've picked is this autumnal themed set. Here we have Bold as a Lion, which is a very bright orange tonal. And this one is called Harvest. So it has a nice neutral base, and then it's speckled with green and gold and orange and brown. And it also has tiny little bits of blue in there as the die breaks. But I love this one, and it goes really well with a few of my other fall themed tonals. Like, for example, it goes well with fine gold that I'm knitting my cardigan out of. It goes really well with that as well. And the third colorway is called Life Giving, so it is as well a tonal color, and it's a deep green, kind of a olive, earthy green. Not really olive, but like an earthy, rich, woodsy green, I guess. So anyway, I thought that these were really fun together, and they would make a really fun fall-themed project. All of the colorways that I offer in my Etsy shop are available on all 9 of my bases in any quantity that you might need, so please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions for a project that you would like to work up. I'm glad to work with customers to get the right color combination that you would like for your project, or to pick out the right base that you would like for your project. So please don't hesitate to contact me if you do have any questions about anything in my shop. So I hope you all have had a great couple of weeks. We have had a pretty good couple of weeks. We're getting excited for Halloween. Our kids all got their costumes. We got our last costume. I had ordered them online and got the last costume in the mail yesterday, so we're all set. We're going to have a police officer, a shark. My girl is going to be Elsa from Frozen. And then we have a spider, which is a super fun costume. It has like this fan piece, like an air blow up piece that is inside the costume that you turn on, and so then it blows up the head and the legs, and it's really kind of a cool costume. And then our youngest is going to be a raccoon, which is such a cute costume. It's got this really fat belly, and the fur on it is super soft, and he's going to look so adorable. So I'm excited for Halloween on Thursday. It's going to be absolutely freezing, though. The weather forecast is forecasting us to have a high of 35 on Halloween, I believe. So yeah, we're gonna have to do lots of layers underneath these costumes to keep the kids warm, and we probably won't be out for very long. There are a couple of places that we can go to. There's a church and a nursing home that offer trick-or-treaters to come inside, and so we might just do those because they'll be warmer inside, but we'll see how things go. So anyway, the kids are obviously super excited about that. So I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that so much. And subscribe to this channel if you would like. I would appreciate that as well. I hope you all have a great couple of weeks ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.